learning from experts across the ocean.
Welcome to Voice of the Sea. In this episode, we explore how a changing ocean is impacting the island nation of Palau. We'll meet local fishermen, scientists, community leaders, and the president. We'll talk about the battle they face between overfishing and conservation amid sea level rise and increasing demand for food. Palau's environmental challenges have implications for coastal and inland communities across the globe. Its unique placement in the Indo-West Pacific creates an environment with both an amazing diversity of species and an abundance of biomass. Scuba enthusiasts, fishermen, and scientists travel from around the world to experience the beauty of Palau's aquatic environment.
I first visited Palau in 2005 and I was excited to return. On this trip, I had the chance to speak with fishermen and community leaders about the effects of climate change and fishing pressures on Palau's natural resources. These people explained how the Palauans' way of life is threatened by reduced catch, sea level rise, and the difficulties of creating sustainable tourism. Although the Palauan fishermen understand that they must conserve, they still need to provide for their families. I talked to people across Palau to better understand the situation. We start off with Thomas Taro, fisherman, conservationist, and vice president of Palau's Community College. Thomas, I'm excited to be here and learn what the Palau Community College is doing with aquaculture.
Thank you and welcome. Welcome to our multi-species hatchery.
Multi-species hatchery. What kinds of species do you have here?
We basically work with rabbit fish. I know the fish is not popular in the States or in Asia, but it's a local delicacy, and it's also very popular in Guam, Saipan. And we're also working with mangrove crab. We believe that because of the tourism industry booming in Palau, we are almost to the point of depleting our natural stock. So starting a project in mangrove crab would encourage fishermen to start farming the crab, as well as fetching high dollars for the product.
That sounds like a winner.
We are also holding some groupers that would eventually get into a work of producing the groupers, either restocking the wild or also encouraging aquaculture operation to start in Palau. And right now, Palau has developed its milkfish industry, and we're also holding some broodstock milkfish that we're hoping to be able to support the local industry. They've started it bringing in fingerlings from outside of Palau, which poses a lot of danger in terms of introduction of new virus, new disease that might impact the local population.
So by holding the broodstock here, you would not need to bring in fingerlings from the outside. You'd be able to produce your own.
That's correct. Palau has gone through so much in terms of climate change, and the idea of building a hatchery would be able to reduce the pressure that has been placed in the wild fish population, and maybe kind of shift the attention from catching to growing and selling the fish. That would probably save the environment as well as the wild population from depleting the fish stock that we have in the field.
Can we take a look at some of the fish that you're holding?
Right now, we have helped what's your step? We have helped two local farmers to start their own crab farming. So they have out in the village, the next village, and we have these are some
I see them. Yeah.
these are some of the crabs that are being grown here, and they were actually hatched in this facility, and they have grown to this size.
Show me with your hands again this time.
About this size right now.
And how big do they need to be before
They
you
need
would
to
eat them?
be a little bit more than 6 inches, so about this big. But at the same time, there's also a market for a newly molted small crabs. So they're
Or
soft.
You'd eat the shell.
Yeah, we eat the whole thing. So these are the leftover from the broodstock, right there.
Oh, so that's an adult size.
This is not yet an adult size. This is still small. Maybe a couple of more months, then we'll have a pretty good size. Now that's a good size right there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And they grow rather slow in the tank, but when they're in their natural environment, they grow a lot faster.
How would you speed them up in the tank?
There's just no way to speed them up in the tank. So we're trying to mimic the natural environment. So we use mangrove mud placed in the tank, but still they're not developing as fast as they should be. But the ones that we established out in the village are doing much better than this. They're bigger.
So the project for the village is to have them lay eggs and grow up here for a small amount of time, and then you transfer them out to the village where they can grow up faster.
Right, grow faster, yeah. So, and there's still two of them. It requires a little bit investment to start. Although a lot of people have expressed interest to start one, but they're still waiting for the bank to process their loan. We're also holding some groupers that will eventually get into the. One thing, we're not using any hormones or anything to induce spawning. They spawn naturally and according to the season. And the reason we're focusing on groupers is that from April to July it's off season. So during those times we may be able to keep the grouper market going, while the wild population is being closed for hunting.
So people would like to eat grouper year-round, but the population is closed to help the wild population sustain itself. And then this would help fill that gap.
Right.
And you have a turtle in there.
Yeah, we have a turtle in there, and it kind of wandered off to the beach over there about this big when we first got it, and it's now.
Is that a hawksbill?
Yeah, that's a hawksbill turtle. We may eventually let it go because it's eating a lot of the food for the fish. And out in this tank is the rabbit fish. This is the broodstock for the rabbit fish. And they spawn during the new moon. So right now the next spawning season will be like 11 days from today.
I see.
Yeah.
And these are herbivores, right? They eat plants or seaweed?
Right.
And I've not seen it, but I've heard that at night they come up onto the reef in big groups and they feed.
Normally, no, these guys sleep at night.
Oh.
Yeah. Or you may be talking about another species of rabbit fish. And this is these guys are active during the day. Now the cousins would be more active during the night. So there's two different species.
So within the group of rabbitfish, the different species have different behaviors.
Yes.
I see.
Yeah. This guy sleeps at night. As a research facility, we also conduct a grow out trial for the rabbitfish, for the crab, which, you know, so we'll be able to advise the farmers of the feeding regimen that they need to get into, the maintenance of all the work. So we have a floating gauge out there with a fish net that holds some of the rabbitfish, milkfish, and grouper out there in the right next to the dock. And you know, when we collect you know, viral information that we may share with a potential investor or farmer to be successful in their operation.
Are you guys monitoring water quality at all?
We are doing that. We are doing water monitoring, and with the assistance of environmental people, you know, they would assist us in those, because we have no laboratory facility to do that. But we do monitor water quality, water temperature, and you know, I don't know about Hawaii, but in the States, they have no clue of what climate change is all about. You know, out in the islands, you really can see the changes that taking place.
Tell me about some of those observations that you made.
I'm also an avid fisherman. I go out, you know, 2-3 times a week just to fish, and a lot of things have changed. The size of the cats has been smaller. The number of the cats, the number of hours we spend out there is longer. We go further, and this is a matter of 15-20 years change. A lot of not only that, the sea level is far more extreme than what we normally have during this the new moon, the full moon, where you expect a normal high tide. No, these are extreme, like a 1.5 foot difference in their height.
So it's coming into your buildings and things like that?
And you know, right now I live in this village. My house is right next over there. And normally it would be like 3 feet. The floor will be 3 feet above the sea level. Right now it's less than a foot. It's like 6 inches at the highest tide. My floor would be 6 inches away from the sea level, the water level. So it's a lot of things have changed. And not only that, the farmers are complaining that their taro patches have been inundated by salt water. So when you talk about climate change, and people from in the States are hearing you, they're talking about ice caps melting away. No, we don't care about the ice caps melting away. The sea level has changed so much that the areas that normally kids would play on are now being, overflooded with seawater when it's high tide. So, and hopefully that's not going to impact the sea creatures, out there. But questions have been asked by people who clam, people who collect sea cucumber, and they say, the sea cucumber are no longer at their normal, usual place. They have relocated somewhere. The colors have changed. A lot of things have changed, and our ancestors have this way of conserving resources, and they had traditional means to do so. But then, this is a new area that we have yet to know what are the remedies to those problems that are occurring today. And conservation may work in a bit, and then there are other interventions that we need to take in order to sustain and preserve what we have for future generation. That may be something that we can look into.
Here at the community college, are you collaborating or working with any other researchers to help determine maybe some measures you can take to help protect against the effects of climate change?
We are, we have a lot of collaboration within the region, the Micronesian region, University of Guam, College of the Marshall Island, Community College of the Federated States of Micronesia. We're working with those to share knowledge, transfer technologies. We're also working with the University of Hawaii in terms of identifying taro, variety of taro that may be resistant to salt water. We're also working with the Hawaii Oceanic Institute to help at least with some research that may be able to, they would provide funding for research that may be able to help identify species that may be more tolerant to these drastic changes in sea surface temperatures. So we do have a lot of collaboration. We also collaborate with the SPC, the South Pacific Communities, organizations that are dealing with this kind of problems. So yeah, we do have a lot of collaborative work with a lot of these agencies that may help us address some of these concerns and issues that we're facing.
Okay. So here in Palau, you have the issue of fishing pressure on your fish, the issues of tourism pressure on your fish, and then the issues of climate change and sea level rise, sea level temperature increase pressures on your fish. Can you maybe speak to what the next generation of kids might be able to do if they're interested in growing up to help?
That's a very good question, and we have directed some focus specifically for environmental marine science program. We have invested heavily on agriculture, agricultural science program at the college. We all, and putting emphasis means that we provide scholarships to potential students that may be interested in pursuing a higher education in these areas of, and for an island nation such as Palau with very limited human resources, a pool of professionals in those areas are, slim. Very few people go into those areas. So we're heavily investing on those areas that we may find one day that our kids will be researchers themselves that will be able to help find solutions and answers to some of these problems. But then there's out there a world community that also very willing and eager to assist Palau in these troubled times. But we've always been able to fall back on our cultures and traditions that would supply answers for our dilemmas. But climate change, this is new. We're on uncharted water right now. So anything that would help, we really would appreciate those.
How about you yourself? How did you become interested in aquaculture?
To be honest, this is by accident. And I'm not, education-wise, I'm not in aquaculture nor agriculture. But then I found, I was and I am, I was a farmer, a fisherman, and tying all of this was not very difficult for me because I fishing, I did that normally and almost every week. And when things start changing, it was very, very noticeable that things were changing. But I didn't choose to be in this area. It just by accident. But I would not trade this for anything else. This is where I'll be, and this is where I'm gonna stay. Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about the community college and the programs that you offer there?
We have a very wide range of programs that we offer, but agriculture and environmental marine science are two of the most important programs that a lot of resources have been invested on. And I guess it's natural that, while we're joining the international community as well as being faced with all of these problems, it was natural to look into those as, sort of a provider of an answer or some things that we may yet to understand.
And do you accept students from places other than Palau?
We accept students from and in fact, Palau Community College have students from the mainland China, Taiwan, the Philippines, Bangladesh, Federated States of Micronesia, from Chuuk, Ponape, Kosrae, Yap, and the Marshall. We accept students from everywhere. And when it comes to provision of scholarships, it's not just Palauans, it's everybody that's in those areas. Because it's not only Palau's problem, but a regional issue as well. So, anything that we can do to help would be, nice, I think.
So we got to look in some of the tanks that are full, but I noticed there's a lot more capacity here. There are a lot of empty tanks that aren't being used.
I'm glad you noticed that. September last year, our researcher decided that he wanted to go to the Marshall Island to work over there. And like what was said earlier, there's just no pool of those expert areas in Palau. So we had to recruit to the Philippines, India, US. And so ever since September until now, I've received only 5 applicants. 1 is complete. And this particular person has never touched a fish in more than 10 years. So, and he's more of a consultant than so I'm still searching. And the other applicants have yet to really complete their application. So the tanks are empty because we're trying to save cost and minimize our expense while we're recruiting our researchers. So this is just maintaining our broodstock. So once our researcher come on board, then he can just start, day one and then work to at least deliver some answers that we need.
So sometimes in the field of marine science, people think that jobs aren't out there, but really opportunity is there. It's here.
Yeah, and that's one of the talk that I give during the orientation week for the college, that if you graduate with an AA degree, you're assured the job in Palau. If you go to a bachelor's or master's, you're not only assured a research position in Palau, but the region. And if you go to a PhD, we might not be able to afford you, so you go to the States. So, it just not, and I guess science is not one of our strongest suit in the islands. We kind of, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway, we kind of like this lay back, relaxed kind of life. Science is too intense, too demanding. But then how else are you going to get answers that you need for your problems if you don't go into science? So and so that's why a lot of emphasis and resources have been, put forth for marine science, environmental science, as well as an agricultural science program. And that's just given. And so, 8 years ago, I had 4 students enrolled in agricultural science. When we started that program, and that 8 years ago, we have 58 students enrolled in agricultural science.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and this is all thanks to USDA NIFA, National Institute for Food and Agriculture, that gave. So I write proposal every year for funding of $270,000, and a major part of that will go to scholarship, and that has helped tremendously. We've had 8 graduates ever since then, and we're looking at like 7 this coming May. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
That's wonderful.
NOAA Pacific Services Center, linking people to information and technology. The Pacific Services Center wants you to be prepared for any weather emergency and know your tsunami risk. NOAA Pacific Services Center, enriching life through science, service, and stewardship.
Exploring Our Fluid Earth is a dynamic curriculum developed by the University of Hawaii's Curriculum Research and Development Group, teaching ocean science concepts through the disciplines of physics, chemistry, biology, and ecology. Exploring Our Fluid Earth is now available freely online. Find out more at exploringourfluidearth.org.
The Curriculum Research and Development Group in the College of Education at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. CRDG has been providing quality educational programs and services for over 40 years, serving students, teachers, parents, educators, and experts around the world and here in Hawaii. The Curriculum Research and Development Group, improving schools, improving education. CRDG.
The University of Hawaii Sea Grant College Program, helping coastal communities of Hawaii and the Pacific through research, education, and outreach. Serving the community, from elementary to graduate students. Hawaii Sea Grant.